What I remember, it's the atmosphere. I say it again, the desert, the scenery all around me, the silence, the colors.
Love another man. Very romantic, no?
Well, I did a lot of movies in Italy, of course, in England, in France, but this is the first one I did in Hollywood.
Shoot! Do as I say. Shoot!
Richard Brooks in this movie, it was a real pleasure. First of all, because Richard was fantastic, and he was one of the directors, who wants to do everything by himself. He wants to be the king of the set. That is the same for lots of directors, big directors, like Luchino Visconti or Fellini or Sergio Leone. But this I like, because the king of the film is the director. If you have no director, it's better not to do the film.
You got 10 seconds to run like hell. And then dynamite, not fate, will move that mountain into this pass. Peace, brother.
I remember every morning I was looking at him. He was doing gymnastic every morning outside, in front. We are living in a little, like a motel, middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere. Just a tree was there. And we had a marvelous relationship. We didn't talk a lot, because I don't like to talk. He didn't like to talk. But we understood each other very well.
Yes?
Just wondering, what makes you worth $100,000?
Go to hell.
Yes, ma'am. I'm on my way.
I wouldn't do that. My friend would die of a terrible headache. And so would you.
Lee Marvin was absolutely crazy, but I like crazy people. Otherwise, it's a bore, I think.
If you can deliver this dynamite with split-second timing, we can pull this job off.
When you arrive on the set, he never had a problem of dialogue. He remembered everything. Fantastic actor. But a bit crazy, but fantastic.
He was a very loose and friendly and wonderful human being, and he didn't behave like a movie star at all. He was a regular feller, but he loved this part. He loved it because I think he was in the Marines too, or at least he was involved in the war somehow or other, and he loved guns and things.
Same setup as Durango?
Yeah.
Jacob Sharp, specialist with rifle, rope, and longbow. Most dependable scout and tracker in the territory.
Woody was a great, great guy.
Right now, I don't know whether it's me or the dynamite that's doing all that sweating.
Woody was so funny. In Las Vegas, across from the hotel, they have a big advertisement. A man smoke a cigarette and you see the smoke coming from his mouth. Woody and Lee Marvin, they look at the guy.
And they were on the 11th floor of the Mint Hotel, I think, with the bow and arrow, and they were shooting at the guy who was doing high partner with steel-tip arrows.
And the thing fall down in the street. Richard Brooks was so upset. Columbia have to pay for it.
Want to face another pack of Ross's men? Turn them loose. They'll head south, back to their camp.
They'll head for the water, north to the river.
Suppose they follow us, what then?
Then shoot.
Robert Ryan told Richard Bruce, you know, I am not well. Bruce said, that's okay. I want you for the role. And he's so sensitive. You remember when he shot the horse?
Sorry about your horse, man.
He was not acting. He felt it so much, he told me, to shoot that horse.
Well, as long as we're not pressed for time.
Well, in a few minutes she'll be home.
Sort of nice if Bill was here for the payoff.
Jack Palance is a very professional man, very pro. He don't fool around at all.
Oh, you're too romantic, compadre. La Revolucion is like a great love affair.
He said to me, you know, Marie, Richard Bruce gave me the gorgeous role, the opportunity to work in Hollywood again. He was very pleased and very quiet. Some people said he have temper, not at all. It's very nice to me, to everybody.
I will go first.
Do as I say, woman.
A woman he will not shoot.
I come to Hollywood. I go to 20th Century Fox, give me classes, you know. I make a lot of pictures at 20th Century Fox, but small part, you know, nothing special. Then one day, somebody called me and said to me, you know, Marie, they're doing a picture at Columbia, the professional. It's a gorgeous role, gorgeous part. And I called my agent. My agent said, Marie, he said, I don't know if they will give you that role. I said, please send my picture. Please send the picture. He said, okay. He did not send it. And I called Michael, the son. I said, Michael, if you don't send those pictures, I am going to quick and looking for another agent. He said, Marie, I promise you, I will take them myself to Columbia. Then Richard Bruce called my agent. And he said, we want to do a test, but I want Burt Lancaster to see you. Burt come over, and he looked at me, and he said, could you act? I said, how come I miss with Richard Bruce and you?
Fierro, is he finished?
Not yet, baby.
Baby.
But I know it's going to be hard to work for me because I never have such an emotional role, such a strong part, you know, because the character have to be very woman, very sexy, very voluptuous, and also very tough. Because Bruce said, I don't want any woman to play it like a man. The woman was a woman. She have to be feminine, but tough, strong. That's why I think I get the role.
How's your love life?
Terrific. You want some?
We started in Death Valley, and we shot there. And then we went to Las Vegas. And from Las Vegas, we traveled 60 miles north to the Valley of Fire. And the Valley of Fire provided most of our basic locations that took them from the hacienda in Mexico, and then also part of the voyage of the professionals going to find her and bringing her back to America. There were also some locations in near Palm Springs that were very good, beautiful deserts and things that we shot at. And the interiors were at Columbia.
Then when they run to defend the walls,
We slip in and rescue Little Red Riding Hood.
The shots were breathtaking, breathtaking. The light, shooting day for night. So the beauty serves the action, and the dialogue serves the action. And that all works so beautifully together. Very tight, very good.
Frank?
Thanks.
The shots of them traveling across the deserts and everything at night would probably lose the impact of the vastness and the ruggedness of their endeavor if we did it with lights, which would not allow us to encompass the whole mountain ranges in the distance, so we did it day for night. And so we used the sun to like portray the moon, and then work with various filters to darken areas that we find too bright or that kind of thing, to give the impression of traveling at night.
Bryland by day, freezing at night, alkali dust choking every hole in your body. How in the name of God does anybody live here long enough to get used to it?
I come from a very strict family, you know. And my father did not want me too much to become an actress, but I wanted to become an actress.
Muy bien, chiquita. Perfecto.
Beautiful.
Richard Brooks called me in bed. He told me about the scene. He said, Marie, listen, nobody going to see you. Only the cameraman will see you, and he have to see me, you know. I said, what it is? He said, nude. I don't see any nude scene. He said, no. He said, you're going to open your blouse, take off the blouse.
Now there's a woman worth a ransom. She never says no.
And it was so well done. I was shaking, eh? I was like that, shaking. I said, my, what I'm going to do? I could not sleep the night before. We shot that scene, it was 11 o'clock at night. Could you believe it? 11 o'clock at night. But Lancaster knows I was going to do the dancing, you know. And he's supposed to, he's finished already with this scene, with his work, to take his car and the chauffeur to go to the hotel. He come to me, he said goodbye to me. He was teasing me. When I start dancing, you know, and I saw somebody with a Mexican hat sitting in a little chairs like this, you know, and but that looked like Bert. I said, Bert, what you doing here? You're supposed to be at the hotel. You're through with your work today. He said, Marie, I will not miss that dance for nothing. That dance is so much.
That Chiquita. She can make a whole regiment. But she can't dance a lick.
He always teased me. He used to call me Gomez the Great. He was a great guy.
That whole scene where we all of a sudden go into the belly of the beast, we go into the hacienda, and Marvin and Lancaster finally really see that what's going on and that she's in fact Ross's mistress.
Amigo, we've been had. Let's get the hell out of here.
The lighting and the mise en scène of that is almost operatic. You know, it's very heightened, it's exaggerated, it's dramatic. And Lancaster decides not to shoot Raza, you know, the first tip-off that maybe he's got a little bit of a soft heart. There are a lot of things riding on that scene, and it is shot in a totally different kind of mood than the others.
Before any kind of like stunt, there's a meeting where everybody's role, who's in charge, and who's going to give the signal to set off the charge. It's like a military operation. I mean, I remember I was at the camera and there was this rock that was up there. It was a real rock. We had arranged to push it off and have it come down and miss everybody, of course. But my gaffer went in there at the wrong time. and this thing came down right next to us. Dangerous. Pictures are dangerous, you know. Things happen.
Raza, how much time we got?
I love things difficult, you know. When it's more difficult, I love it. And in one scene, I had someone who was supposed to do a scene very difficult between two mountains with an explosion. It was the stunt woman who was supposed to do the scene. And of course, the girl had a terrible accident. She had to go to the hospital. Then I said to Richard, I'll do it. I never ride a horse before in my life. But I'm a bit crazy. And I did it. But I was grabbing my horse with the explosion, and it was fantastic, you know, emotionally fantastic. And Richard, you know, he was very very proud of me because I did it. Otherwise, we couldn't do the scene. On the very beginning, it was supposed to have a scene where I take off my blouse with Burt Lancaster.
How long since you had a woman?
Too long.
And I said to Richard, I'm not going to do it. I never did it. And he said, okay, we'll talk about later. I was a bit tense. Then I decided to do something like Marlene Dietrich. You know, I put inside a thing of tulle, you know, veil, all covered. And I said, we never know.
You want me?
The day I was supposed to do the scene, Richard said, okay, now you take off your blouse. And I said, yes. I took it off. And of course, he couldn't shoot because I was, you know, completely covered like Marlene Dietrich, you know, with thing of the... And then he said, okay, when you say something, you don't change your mind. I said, no. And then he cut it. And I was very pleased.
I might say yes now. And later no.
I trust you.
We created a sandstorm. Oh, that was the story. And we had these huge airplane motors with propellers. I'm saying, more dust, throw up more stuff. So I'm running around and I'm tossing stuff up and they're tossing stuff up and everything else. And Richard is yelling, no, you know, stop, that's enough. But nobody can hear him because of the noise of these airplane engines. And finally, we do see them through all of this dust and everything, and they come through, and Richard gets on my case, yelling and screaming and about like, I'll tell you how much dust to put in. I know what to do. You know, he was just humiliating me. And I decide right then and there that I'm going to let him know, you know, when the day is over, that he can call another cameraman. So we get all set for another take. You know, he puts up the dust and he says this, and I can see everything perfectly. It doesn't look like a dust storm at all. And after we did it, it was a wrap, and we got in the car driving home. Boy, you could have heard a pin drop. But then, as we're going, I'm looking at the back of his head, you know, and I made a decision to go on and to make him admire me and love me rather than chicken out and leave on that note, you know what I mean? So I stuck with the picture. And the thing about the story is that the assistant director talked to him about maybe printing up my take. It looks like a real dust storm, and that's the one that's in the picture.
I think that scene with Palance and Lancaster where they sort of take a breather there, and they're at the very end of this chase, and of course Palance is badly wounded and has a tourniquet around his leg to keep the bleeding down.
Where did the bullet bite you?
In the ass. You?
Another 2 inches, mamacita.
You see both of them like lizards, chameleons, salamanders. They're blending into the background. We need to see both of them because they're both engaged in this reciprocal dialogue, which is really sort of funny.
Could you spare one more cigarro?
Why, sure. Come and get it.
Because it's like highfalutin philosophical talk, and here they are in the middle of the desert in 100-degree heat, trying to kill each other.
How do you come to this dirty business?
The usual. Money.
But that kind of reciprocity was what it was about. They respected Raza. He was a professional, too.
Before the death scene, Burt Lancaster called me. He said, you know, Marie, the director asked me to do a rehearsal with you because it is a stronger scene in the movie.
Hello, baby.
Hello, baby.
And you know what he did? When I arrived to his suite, he have champagne, beautiful cordon rouge there, hors d'oeuvres for me. I said, but that's so nice. And I never forgot that scene because it was, for me, the most emotional time in my career, that scene, because it have to be natural, done very well. And thanks God I have Richard Brooks to my right and Bud to my left. It's perfectly done, well,
I am not lucky today.
But you're beautiful.
I think that line where Maria Gomez dies is one of the best scenes in the film, and a very good example of the kind of shimmer and the depth that Lancaster brings to it, and the way he can change and twist his character to show different facets.
You ever find that damn gold mine, huh?
I was always struck in that particular scene where he's holding her and she's dying and he calls her baby and she realizes it's the last time she'll be called baby. He kisses her, but before he kisses her, his hands flick the sand off of her face in a very tender gesture. And that was very much Lancaster at his best.
Give us a kiss.
The last shot of the movie was, of course, a classic and almost a ritualistic last shot. To the extent the four professionals respected each other, so I think it is fair to say that they had a professional respect for each other at the end of the movie. They'd done a good piece of work. They knew that. Really good piece of work.
And we were a marvelous clan all together, very close all together. It was a marvelous relationship.
I wanted to come so much here and his memories because it looked like I owe him something. And this is the debt I'm paying, to say to everybody he was one of the top, one of the best directors we have in the industry. That's why I come.
The experience was incredible. Richard is an incredible filmmaker, and I learned so much from being with him and becoming a real close friend and somebody I just admire and love dearly.
Whoa, amigo, slow down. Let's keep this thing strictly professional. Your job is to make good our contract. To deliver the goods all the way. That's your job.
She's my woman. Before, now, always.
Nothing is for always. Except death.